What if I told you the line between myth and reality is thinner than you think? That the monsters from ancient scrolls and medieval tapestries weren't always figments of imagination, but sometimes misunderstood truths? Welcome back to our journey through the shadows of natural history. I'm your guide to the creatures that haunted our ancestors' nightmares, but actually walked the earth. If you missed our previous expeditions, check them out after this one. Today, we are diving into 7 more incredible beasts that sound like fantasy, but were as real as the ground beneath your feet. From ocean terrors to sky predators that would make dragons jealous. These aren't legends, they're scientific fact. So buckle up as we explore 7 mythical creatures that really existed. Part 4. The Quetzalcoatlas, Sky Serpent. Ancient Aztec legends tell of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god who ruled the skies. For centuries, scholars dismissed this as pure mythology, until paleontologists discovered something extraordinary in Texas in 1971. Meet Quetzalcoatlas, a pterosaur so massive it defies belief. With a wingspan reaching 40 feet, longer than a school bus, this flying reptile from the late Cretaceous period would have been absolutely terrifying to behold. Its elongated skull alone measured over 10 feet. Just imagine looking up and seeing this monstrous silhouette blotting out the sun. Scientists believe it could launch itself into the air like a vampire bat, using its powerful front limbs to vault skyward before unfurling those enormous wings. Unlike the feathered deity of Aztec lore, the real Quetzalcoatlas had leathery wings and likely a body covered in fuzz-like structures. But the similarities are striking. Could distant memories of these giant flying predators have survived in oral tradition, morphing over thousands of years into divine serpents of the sky? Next time someone tells you dragon-like creatures never existed, remember the Quetzalcoatlas, the closest thing to a dragon that ever dominated our skies. The Giganto Pithecus, true Sasquatch. Stories of massive, hairy humanoids lurk in cultures worldwide. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, the abominable snowman. Most scientists dismiss these as folkloric creations. But what if these legends stem from an actual giant that once walked among us? Giganto Pithecus blacki wasn't just big, it was the largest primate that ever lived. Standing up to 10 feet tall and weighing over 1,000 pounds, this ancient ape dwarfed today's gorillas. The evidence? Hundreds of fossilized teeth and jawbones found throughout southern China, Vietnam, and India, dating from around 300,000 to 2 million years ago. These massive apes lived alongside our early human ancestors. Just think about the impression such a creature would leave on primitive humans. A massive, shaggy-haired bipedal beast with immense strength would absolutely become the stuff of fireside tales passed down through generations. Even more intriguing? Some cryptozoologists theorize that isolated populations could have survived in remote mountainous regions much longer than the fossil record suggests, perhaps even into periods of recorded human history. While modern Bigfoot hunters won't find a living Gigantopithecus today, when you explore those tales of giant forest dwellers avoiding human contact, you're hearing echoes of a very real prehistoric giant. The Leviathan Melville, Leviathan of the deep, the biblical Leviathan, the Norse Jormungandr, the Japanese Bakekujira. Every seafaring culture has myths of massive sea monsters with crushing jaws that could swallow ships whole. Turns the Therizinosaurus, Reaper lizard. Imagine meeting a dinosaur with claws longer than samurai swords. Not just any claws, but 3 massive scythe-like talons on each hand, reaching over 3 feet in length. This wasn't fantasy. This was Therizinosaurus, the scythe lizard. When paleontologists first discovered these enormous claws in Mongolia in the 1940s, they thought they belonged to a giant turtle-like creature. It wasn't until later that they realized these were the weapons of one of the strangest dinosaurs ever to walk the earth. standing 20 feet tall with those massive claws, a bulky body, tiny head, and long neck. Therizinosaurus would have looked like a nightmare creature designed by a horror movie artist. Yet this bizarre beast from the late Cretaceous period, about 70 million years ago, wasn't even a predator. That's right. Despite looking like nature's perfect killing machine, Therizinosaurus was actually a plant eater. Those massive claws were likely used to pull down high branches, defend against predators, and possibly for attracting mates. But imagine early human ancestors finding these fossils. Without modern paleontology, what would they make of these giant hooked claws? It's easy to see how such remains could spark legends of dragons, demons, or other claw-bearing monsters that persisted in folklore for generations. The actual Therizinosaurus may have been a gentle giant, but its outlandish appearance makes it clear why our ancestors populated their myths with such fantastic beasts. The Megalania, Dragon of Australia. Aboriginal Australian Dreamtime stories tell of massive reptilian predators that hunted humans, creatures so fearsome they've been compared to dragons in European folklore. Modern science has a name for this monster, Megalania prisca, or the ancient great roamer. This was no ordinary lizard. Megalania was a monitor lizard that grew to an estimated 23 feet in length and weighed up to 1 in 300 pounds. Essentially a Komodo dragon on steroids. It roamed Australia until as recently as 40,000 years ago, meaning it not only existed alongside ancient humans, but likely hunted them. Like its modern relatives, Megalania would have possessed a venomous bite. Its mouth harbored toxic bacteria that would cause rapid blood poisoning in bite victims. One bite from this giant would deliver enough venom to kill a full-grown human in hours. What's truly chilling is how recent this creature existed. When the first Aboriginal Australians arrived on the continent around 65,000 years ago, these massive predators were waiting for them. The oral histories describing giant reptiles stalking human prey were imagination. They were survival warnings based on terrifying encounters. Some cryptozoologists even suggest isolated populations might have survived into much more recent times in remote regions of Australia. While mainstream science rejects this idea, the Aboriginal tales of the Megalania lizard stand as some of humanity's oldest accurate monster stories. The Dinotherium, Cyclops' origin. Greek mythology tells of the Cyclops, one-eyed giants that roamed ancient lands. For centuries, these were dismissed as pure fantasy, until archaeology suggested a fascinating origin for these monsters. Enter Dinotherium giganteum, whose name literally means terrible giant beast. This prehistoric elephant relative stood 15 feet tall at the shoulder, taller than any living elephant today. But here's where it gets interesting. Unlike modern elephants, Dinotherium's trunk connected to its skull in a way that created a large central nasal opening. When ancient Greeks found these fossilized skulls, that single large hole in the center would have looked exactly like an eye socket for a giant one-eyed creature. The Titanoboa, world serpent. Norse mythology speaks of Jormungandr, the world serpent so massive it encircled the entire earth. The Aztecs worshipped Quetzalcoatl. The Chinese revered dragon-like serpents. Every ancient culture seemed to have legends of snakes of impossible size. In 2009, paleontologists made a discovery that proved reality sometimes matches mythology. Titanoboa cerrejonensis. This prehistoric snake slithered through the rainforests of South America about 60 million years ago, just after the dinosaurs went extinct. At 42 feet long and weighing over 2,500 pounds, Titanoboa is the largest snake ever discovered. So massive it makes today's anacondas look like garden worms. From the skies to the oceans, from dense forests to prehistoric swamps, the line between mythology and biology continues to blur as science unveils the real monsters that once roamed our planet. What's most fascinating isn't just that these creatures existed, but how their remains, and perhaps distant memories of them, shaped the mythologies that defined human cultures for thousands of years. If you enjoyed this journey through prehistoric reality, hit that subscribe button and check out parts 1, 2, and 3 of this series, where we explore even more mythical creatures that really existed. Until next time, remember, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, and sometimes the monsters were real.